In today's breaking news, Barack Obama is trending for speaking out on the Charlie Kirk tragedy and against Donald Trump's attempts and future plans to use it as a means to silence and punish his critics. I have the breakdown for you next. Remember when presidents used to speak with dignity? Even when political opposition met their demise, they found the grace and humility to honor that person's memory and pay respects to the family. Just in case grace and humility are now foreign concepts that Trump has removed from your memory bank, here's Obama with a thoughtful reminder of what it looks and sounds like.
Obviously, I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I was generally aware of some of his ideas. I think those ideas were wrong. But that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy and that I mourn for him and his family. He's a young man with 2 small children and a wife who obviously, and a huge number of friends and supporters who cared about him. And so we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. We can also, at the same time, say that I disagree with the idea that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. That's not me politicizing the issue. It's making an observation about who are we as a country. I can say that I disagree with the suggestion that my wife or Justice Jackson does not have adequate brain processing power. I can say that I disagree that Martin Luther King was awful. I can disagree with some of the broader suggestions of that liberals and Democrats are promoting a conspiracy to displace whites and replace them by ushering in illegal immigrants. Those are all topics that we have to be able to discuss honestly and forthrightly, while we still insist that in that process of debate, we respect other people's right to say things that we profoundly disagree with.
I love the duality that Obama speaks of, grace for Kirk's life and family, while debating Kirk's many awful words that he expertly slid into his response. Believe me, it's a fine line to walk, and some days I'm better at it than others. Next is Obama's sharp words for Trump, who of course deserves no grace for his actions.
We can't use this as a way to divide and target fellow Americans. And so, coming from the White House and some of the other positions of authority that suggest, even before we had determined who the perpetrator of this evil act was, that somehow we're going to identify an enemy. We're going to suggest that somehow that enemy was at fault, and we are then going to use that as a rationale for trying to silence discussion around who we are as a country and what direction we should go. And that's a mistake as well. And so, look, and so when I hear not just our current president, but his aides, who have a history of calling political opponents vermin, enemies, who need to be targeted. That speaks to a broader problem that we have right now, and something that we're going to have to grapple with, all of us, whether we're Democrats, Republicans, independents. We have to recognize that on both sides, undoubtedly there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. But I will say that those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them. I wasn't empowering them. I wasn't putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views. And that is when we have the weight of the United States government behind extremist views, we've got a problem.
We have a government problem indeed. Trump's extremist views were revealed in his first term, and massive action has been taken in support of them so far in his second. And he's now leveraging and exploiting Charlie Kirk's murder to see how much farther he can push his agenda, push his desire to censor and punish those who oppose him, and quench his out-of-control thirst for power. Just today, there are reports of the Trump administration threatening nemesis Jimmy Kimmel and ABC for something he said on his show about Kirk, and the threat sounded very ominous. Also today, I saw a video of Tucker Carlson, of all people, saying this about what might be to come under Trump. You have to hear it to believe it, because it's not often that I can pair his thoughts with Obama's in a report, and I'll make it the final word.
You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country. And trust me, if it is, if that does happen, there is never a more justified moment for civil disobedience than that, ever. And there never will be. Because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you, because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes, not to hurt other people, but to express his views.